I never expected my world to unravel through a text message. But there it was, lighting up my phone screen during nap time in my kindergarten classroom, a photo of my husband Oliver. His arm wrapped around a woman I'd never seen before, both of them beaming at what looked like a backyard barbecue. My name is Harper, and until that moment, I thought I had the kind of marriage other people envied. The kind where you finish each other's sentences and share knowing looks across crowded rooms. The kind where trust isn't something you question. I stared at my phone until the screen went dark, then pressed the power button to look again. The message was from an unknown number, with only 3 words beneath the photo: "Thought you'd want to know." The quiet breathing of 20 sleeping 5-year-olds suddenly felt suffocating. I stepped into the hallway, my hands shaking as I called Oliver. He picked up on the 3rd ring. "Hey, babe. Everything okay?" His voice was casual, warm, the same voice that had wished me good morning over coffee just hours ago. "I got an interesting photo today," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You're in it. At what looks like a barbecue. With a woman." The pause that followed lasted exactly 2 seconds too long. "What?" "Let me see it." His tone shifted slightly, not enough to scream guilt, but enough to make my stomach clench. I forwarded the photo. Another pause. "Oh, that's nothing," he said, chuckling. "That's Sarah from the office. It was at the company picnic last month. Remember? I told you about it." He had mentioned a picnic, but he'd said he couldn't bring family because it was a team-building event. "You said spouses weren't allowed." "Right, well, it was complicated. Some people brought partners, others didn't. I didn't want to bother you since you had that parent-teacher conference that day. My conference had been on a Tuesday. Company picnics don't happen on Tuesdays." "She seems friendly," I said, watching a group of parents gather outside my classroom for pickup time. "Harper, come on. You know me better than this. We can talk about it when I get home, okay? I've got a meeting in 5. After we hung up, I went back into my classroom and started waking the kids from their naps. As I helped Tommy find his missing shoe and reminded Sophie to grab her artwork, I couldn't shake the image of Oliver's hand on that woman's waist. His fingers splayed possessively across her flowered dress. That evening, I sat at our kitchen counter, waiting. The lasagna I'd made, Oliver's favorite, had gone cold. He was 2 hours late, something about a client emergency. When he finally walked in, his tie was slightly askew, and he smelled of unfamiliar perfume. "I'm sorry about earlier," he said, dropping his briefcase by the door. "You shouldn't let anonymous messages get to you like that. Someone's probably just trying to cause trouble." I pushed my phone across the counter. "Then why is she wearing your mother's bracelet?" Oliver froze. The silver bracelet had been a family heirloom, passed down through generations of Winslow women. His mother Vivian had given it to him last Christmas, saying he should save it for the right moment. I'd assumed it was meant for me. "I can explain," he started, but I was already walking toward our bedroom. "Harper, wait." His footsteps followed me. "It's not what you think." I turned to face him, surprised by how calm I felt. "You know what's funny? I actually believe you. Because whatever I'm thinking probably isn't nearly as bad as whatever the truth is." As I closed the bedroom door between us, I heard my phone buzz with another message. This time, it wasn't a photo. Just 5 words that made my blood run cold: "There's more. Do you want proof?" I looked at the closed door, listening to Oliver's retreating footsteps, and typed back a single word: "Yes." Moving into Vivian's house felt like stepping into a museum where I wasn't allowed to touch anything. Every surface gleamed with generations of Winslow family history, from the antique mirrors to the crystal doorknobs that caught the morning light. Oliver had insisted we move in to help his mother, but I knew better. After the photo incident 3 weeks ago, he wanted me where he could keep an eye on me. Those shoes need to stay in the mudroom, Vivian said as I stepped into the kitchen. She didn't look up from her crossword puzzle, but her pen stopped moving. We don't wear outdoor footwear on the hardwood. I bit back a response about how I'd been wearing these same flats inside our apartment for months and silently patted back to remove them. When I returned, Vivian was measuring coffee beans with the precision of a chemist. Oliver tells me you're still teaching at that public school, she said. Her voice carrying the same tone someone might use to discuss a questionable life choice. Such a shame. The private academy where Riley teaches has an opening in their kindergarten program. I love my school, I replied, reaching for a coffee mug. Vivian's hand shot out, stopping me. Not that one. It's Oliver's father's. She pulled down a plain white mug instead. This will do. The front door opened, and Riley's voice carried through the house. Mother? You won't believe what Oliver just told me. My stomach clenched. Riley appeared in the doorway, her designer outfit somehow unwrinkled despite the humid morning. Her smile flickered when she saw me. Oh. Harper. Didn't know you'd be home. It's Saturday, I said. Right. Riley perched on a bar stool, shooting meaningful glances at her mother. Should we discuss this later? Discuss what? I asked, stirring cream into my coffee. Vivian folded her newspaper with deliberate slowness. Oliver's been offered a promotion. Regional manager position. That's wonderful, I said, waiting for the other shoe to drop. In Chicago, Riley added, watching my face. Starting next month. The coffee suddenly tasted bitter. He hasn't mentioned anything about Chicago. Well, Riley drawled, he's been quite busy with the transition. Lots of meetings, planning sessions. Sarah from HR has been helping him house hunt. Sarah. The woman from the photo. My hand tightened around the mug. Speaking of Oliver, Vivian interjected, he left his briefcase in my study again. Harper, would you be a dear and take it up to your room? I recognized the dismissal for what it was. As I climbed the stairs, I heard Riley's voice drop to a conspiratorial whisper. I paused, listening. Can't believe he's still pretending everything's normal. That girl is practically living in the Chicago apartment already. Lower your voice, Vivian hissed. We agreed to let Oliver handle this his way. I continued up the stairs, my footsteps masked by the sudden pounding in my ears. In the study, Oliver's briefcase sat next to Vivian's antique desk. My fingers hovered over the brass clasps. We'd never kept secrets before the photo, but now. The clasps clicked open easily. Inside, beneath a stack of contracts, I found a folder labeled Chicago Relocation. My hands shook as I opened it. There were apartment listings, school recommendations, and a partially completed lease agreement. The applicants' names made my vision blur: Oliver Winslow and Sarah Mitchell. Looking for something? I spun around. Oliver stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Behind him, I could see Riley hovering in the hallway, her smile sharp with satisfaction. When were you going to tell me about Chicago? I asked, holding up the folder. I was waiting for the right time. He stepped into the room, closing the door on Riley's eager face. This isn't how I wanted you to find out. Find out what, exactly? That you're moving to Chicago, or that you're moving there with Sarah? Oliver's face hardened. You've been going through my things. And you've been going through our marriage like it's something you can just pack up and leave behind. He reached for the folder, but I pulled it back. Harper, don't make this difficult. Difficult? I laughed, and the sound surprised us both. I'm just getting started. The bank statement arrived on a Tuesday, mixed in with Vivian's usual mail. I wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't been helping her sort through the pile while she rested. Fighting off what she called just a touch of flu. The envelope was addressed to Oliver. But the account number caught my eye. It didn't match any of ours. This must be a mistake, I said, showing Vivian the statement. The address is for an apartment complex downtown. Vivian's pale face turned a shade whiter. She snatched the paper from my hands, her reading glasses sliding down her nose as she scanned the document. Where did you get this? It was in your mail. I watched her hands tremble. Vivian, what's wrong? She closed her eyes, pressing her fingers to her temples. That foolish boy. What boy? Oliver? The rent payments, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. They're coming from my personal account. The room seemed to tilt sideways. You're paying for an apartment? Not intentionally. Vivian's laugh was bitter. Oliver must have accessed my accounts when he became my financial advisor last year. I trusted him to manage my investments, not. She trailed off, staring at the statement. I pulled out my phone and searched the address. The complex was upscale, with a rooftop pool and concierge service. The kind of place that would appeal to someone like Sarah from HR. I need to see it, I said. Harper, no. Vivian struggled to sit up straighter. Let me handle this. You can barely get out of bed right now. I was already grabbing my keys. Besides, I think we both know what I'm going to find there. The drive downtown felt surreal. I kept thinking about Oliver's late nights at the office, his mysterious Chicago plans. The way Riley had smirked when I found those relocation papers. Everything was connecting like a constellation of betrayal, each star burning brighter than the last. The concierge didn't even blink when I said I was Sarah Mitchell. Welcome back, Miss Mitchell. Mr. Winslow left a package for you this morning. My hands were steady as I took the key he offered. The elevator ride to the 12th floor gave me time to notice small details, the designer handbag I'd borrowed from Riley to look the part. The wedding ring I'd deliberately left at home. The apartment door opened silently. Inside, everything was modern and pristine, the opposite of Vivian's traditional home. Photos lined the entryway wall, Oliver and Sarah at various events, looking happy and in love. In one, she wore my mother-in-law's silver bracelet while they posed in front of a Christmas tree. My phone buzzed. A text from Vivian, "Did you find what you were looking for?" Before I could respond, I heard keys in the lock. I ducked into the bedroom just as the door opened, expecting Oliver or Sarah. Instead, Riley's voice carried through the apartment. I'm telling you, she knows something, Riley was saying to someone. That little teacher act isn't fooling anyone anymore. Keep your voice down, Oliver replied. The neighbors. Oh please, everyone here thinks this is your love nest with Sarah anyway. Nobody knows you're using it to hide mother's money. I pressed my hand against my mouth to stay quiet. It's not hiding, Oliver said. It's protecting our inheritance. You've seen how close Harper's getting to mother. If we don't secure the assets now, then your wife might actually convince mother to leave her something? Riley's laugh was sharp. God, you really know how to pick them. First Sarah helps you set up this little scheme, and now Harper's playing nurse to our mother like some kind of saint. Just stick to the plan, Oliver said. Once I'm settled in Chicago with Sarah, you can. My phone chose that moment to buzz again, loud against the bedroom's wooden dresser. The conversation in the other room stopped abruptly. Did you hear that? Riley asked. I looked around frantically, but there was only one way out. As footsteps approached the bedroom, I opened my camera app and started recording. If they wanted to catch me in the act, I'd make sure to return the favor. The doorknob turned slowly, and I squared my shoulders. Time to show the Winslows what a kindergarten teacher could really do. The video of Oliver and Riley's conversation spread across Vivian's antique desk like a confession. I'd watched it 17 times since yesterday, each viewing revealing new layers of betrayal. Vivian sat beside me, her face a mask of controlled fury as she reviewed the financial documents I'd gathered from the apartment. $2 million, she said, her voice eerily calm. Transferred in small amounts over 8 months. She looked up at me. You're being remarkably composed about all this. I was anything but composed. My hands hadn't stopped shaking since I'd escaped the apartment through the fire escape, Oliver and Riley's voices echoing behind me. But something had shifted inside me during that climb down. Fear had hardened into something else. I'm not leaving, I said. Vivian raised an eyebrow. Most women would be halfway to a divorce lawyer by now. That's exactly what they want. I closed my laptop. They're counting on me running away, making it easy for them to write me off as the bitter ex-wife while they split your money between them. The doorbell rang, and we both tensed. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Riley's expensive car in the driveway. Let me handle this, Vivian said, but I was already heading for the door. Riley's smile faltered when she saw me. Harper? I thought you'd be at school. Parent-teacher conferences, I said, stepping aside to let her in. I took the day off. How? Convenient. She brushed past me, then stopped short at the sight of the papers spread across the desk. Mother, what's all this? Just reviewing some financial documents, Vivian said. Harper's been helping me make sense of them. Riley's laugh was sharp. Since when does a kindergarten teacher understand corporate finances? Since I started recording conversations about hiding money in secret apartments, I replied. The color drained from Riley's face. Behind her, I heard the front door open again. Oliver's footsteps in the hallway, then his voice, Riley? Your car's outside. I thought we agreed to. He appeared in the doorway, freezing when he saw us all gathered around the evidence of his betrayal. Perfect timing, Vivian said. We were just discussing your creative accounting methods. Oliver's eyes darted between us, settling on me. Harper, whatever you think you heard. Save it. I pulled out my phone. Would you like to watch the video? Or should we skip straight to the part where you explain why you're stealing from your mother? It's not stealing, Riley interjected. We're protecting our inheritance from me? I turned to face her. The gold-digging kindergarten teacher who's been taking care of your mother while you two plot to rob her blind. Enough. Vivian's voice cut through the tension. Oliver, Riley, sit down. Harper, would you make us some tea? I hesitated, but there was something in Vivian's expression that made me comply. In the kitchen, I could hear their voices rising and falling, though the words were unclear. When I returned with the tea tray, Oliver was leaning forward, his head in his hands. Harper, he said, looking up. I can explain everything. Can you explain Sarah? I set the tray down carefully. Or Chicago. Or why you gave her your mother's bracelet. The bracelet was my idea, Riley said quietly. We needed her to trust him. The casual cruelty of it struck me speechless. Vivian reached for her tea with trembling hands. I've made a decision, she announced. About my estate. Oliver straightened. Mother, you don't need to. I'm changing my will. Vivian's eyes met mine. And I'd like Harper to help me manage my affairs from now on. The silence that followed was deafening. Riley's face contorted with rage, but before she could speak, my phone buzzed with a new message. Another anonymous text. Check the safe in the apartment's master closet. The combination is Sarah's birthday, May 17, 89. What you'll find there will change everything. I looked up to find Oliver watching me, his face pale. He'd seen the message reflected in my reading glasses, and for the first time since this began, I saw real fear in his eyes. Vivian's cough echoed through the empty house at 3 in the morning, sharp and wet, like breaking glass. I found her in the bathroom, clutching the sink, her nightgown spotted with blood. "Don't tell Oliver," she wheezed as I helped her back to bed. "He'll just send me to that awful hospital again." "You need a doctor," I insisted, but she gripped my wrist with surprising strength. "What I need is time." Her eyes, usually sharp with criticism, were fever-bright and desperate. "There are things you need to know, Harper. Things I should have told you weeks ago." Before she could continue, my phone lit up with Oliver's name. He'd been in Chicago for 5 days, supposedly finalizing his transfer. I let it ring. "He's not coming back, is he?" I asked. Vivian's laugh turned into another coughing fit. "Not unless he runs out of money first." She pulled a key from beneath her pillow. "My private safe, in the library. Behind the portrait of his father. Everything you need to know is there." The portrait watched me as I entered the library, Oliver's father's stern face illuminated by moonlight. Behind it, the safe opened with a soft click. Inside, I found decades of documentation, bank statements, property deeds, and a manila envelope marked Sarah Mitchell, background check. My hands trembled as I opened it. Sarah Mitchell had died 15 years ago, a teenage car accident in Ohio. The woman in the photos with Oliver, the one wearing Vivian's bracelet, was using a dead girl's identity. A floorboard creaked behind me. "I wondered when Mother would show you." Riley stood in the doorway, still wearing her designer work clothes despite the hour. Though I thought she'd last longer than this. "What did you do to her?" "Me?" Riley's laugh was hollow. "I'm not the one who's been adjusting her medication." The implications hit me like a physical blow. Oliver wouldn't. Oliver does what needs to be done. She stepped closer, examining her manicured nails. Just like he did with Father's accident. Though that was messy, stairs are so unpredictable at that age. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the anonymous number, "Check the medicine cabinet. Third bottle from the left." Riley saw my expression change. "Let me guess, your mysterious friend is texting again? The one who's been feeding you breadcrumbs about Oliver?" Her smile turned predatory. "Did you ever wonder why they care so much about exposing my brother? Because what you're doing is wrong. What we're doing is surviving." Riley moved between me and the door. "The Winslow fortune belongs to real Winslows, not some kindergarten teacher playing detective. Though I have to admit, you've lasted longer than we expected." A crash from upstairs made us both jump. Vivian's voice, weak but urgent, "Harper." I tried to push past Riley, but she grabbed my arm. "She's fine. Probably just knocked something over in her drug-addled state. We should talk about your options." "My options?" "Leave now, divorce Oliver quietly, and we'll make sure you're comfortable. Stay, and..." She shrugged. "Well, accidents happen in this family." Another crash, followed by silence. "That's your choice, Harper." Riley's grip tightened. "Walk away or join the body count." I thought about Oliver's father, about Sarah Mitchell, about Vivian upstairs possibly dying while I stood here. Then I thought about my kindergarten classroom, where I taught children that bullies only win if you let them. "You're right," I said softly. "Accidents do happen." I swung the heavy manila envelope at her face. As she stumbled, I bolted past her, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Behind me, Riley's heels clicked on the hardwood, her threats echoing off the walls. Vivian's bedroom door was locked. Inside, I could hear labored breathing. "Harper!" Riley called, her voice sickly sweet. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." My phone buzzed one final time, "Remember the video. Use it." And suddenly I knew exactly what to do. I pulled out my phone and started a live stream, making sure to capture Riley's approach, the locked door, everything. "Hello, Internet," I said clearly. "Let me tell you about the Winslow family and what really happened to Oliver's father." The livestream had reached 10,000 viewers by the time Oliver burst through the front door. My phone battery was at 12% and Vivian's breathing had grown dangerously shallow behind the locked door. "Harper!" Oliver's voice carried up the stairs. "Turn off the stream. Now. Or what?" I kept my voice steady for the camera. "You'll arrange another accident? Like you did with your father?" Riley's face had gone chalk white when I'd started revealing family secrets. Now she stood at the top of the stairs, blocking Oliver's approach. "Brother dear, she has evidence." "From the safe." Oliver's footsteps stopped. "What safe?" "Don't play dumb," I said, angling my phone to capture his reaction. "Vivian showed me everything, the real Sarah Mitchell's death certificate, your father's accident report, the doctored financial records." A wet cough from behind the door made my heart skip. I needed to get to Vivian, but I couldn't risk turning my back on either sibling. 7% battery, I announced to my viewers. If this stream cuts out, you all know why. Oliver reached the landing, his usual polished appearance disheveled. "You don't understand what you're doing." "I understand perfectly. You killed your father for his money, then started slowly poisoning your mother when she discovered the truth. The only thing I don't get is why Sarah, the real Sarah, had to die." "She didn't." A new voice joined us. A familiar one. I turned to see Jenna, my best friend, standing at the bottom of the stairs. She held up her phone, showing the anonymous number that had been feeding me information. "The real Sarah Mitchell didn't die in that crash," Jenna said. "She just disappeared." "Didn't you, Riley?" Riley's composure cracked. "How did you figure it out? That you stole a dead girl's identity to help your brother embezzle millions? That you've been playing both sides? Pretending to be Oliver's mistress while helping him drain your mother's accounts?" Jenna climbed the stairs slowly. "I'm a private investigator, Riley. Vivian hired me 6 months ago." My phone beeped, 5%. "Harper," Oliver's voice turned gentle, reasonable, the same tone he'd used to explain away the first photo. "Think about what you're risking. We could have given you everything you wanted." "What I wanted?" I laughed, and the sound echoed through the silent house. "I wanted a husband who loved me. A family I could trust. Instead, I got a murderer and his sociopath sister." A thud from Vivian's room made us all jump. "She's dying in there," Riley said quietly. "Are you going to let that happen while you play detective?" "The police are already on their way," Jenna called from below. "Along with an ambulance. Your mother's doctor has been recording the gradual changes to her medication. Every prescription, every refill, every adjustment you made, it's all documented." Oliver moved faster than I expected. His hand caught my wrist, twisting until my phone clattered to the floor. But the screen stayed lit, still streaming, still recording as he pushed me against the wall. "You could have had everything," he hissed. "Instead, you'll leave with nothing. Just like your father did?" Vivian's voice, weak but clear, came through the door. "When you pushed him down these same stairs?" The bedroom door swung open. Vivian stood there, pale but upright, holding an empty pill bottle in one trembling hand. "Mother?" Riley stepped forward. "How did you survive the poison?" Vivian's smile was fierce. "I stopped taking the pills weeks ago, when Jenna confirmed what they contained. I needed proof, and you two provided it beautifully." She looked at me, her eyes soft. "I'm sorry we had to deceive you too, Harper. But we needed their true colors on camera." My phone screen finally went dark, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. Below, police sirens wailed in the distance. Oliver's grip on my wrist tightened. "If I'm going down," he whispered, "you're coming with me." He yanked me toward the stairs, but I was done being a victim. I'd taught my kindergartners about standing up to bullies. Time to follow my own lesson plan. The staircase loomed behind me as Oliver's grip tightened. One push, that's all it would take. Just like his father. The irony wasn't lost on me. "You really want to do this?" I kept my voice steady, buying time as police sirens grew closer. "In front of all those live stream viewers?" The stream ended, Oliver snarled. "Your phone died." "Did it?" Jenna's voice carried from below. "Check your notifications, Oliver." I've been mirroring Harper's stream to my account since she started. "We're still live." His momentary hesitation was all I needed. Years of breaking up playground fights had taught me more than just conflict resolution. I twisted sharply, using his own momentum against him. Oliver stumbled, his grip loosening. "Harper, catch!" Vivian's voice rang out as something small and metallic arced through the air, her silver bracelet. The one Sarah/Riley had worn in that first photo. I snatched it with my free hand. "That's mine," Riley lunged forward, but Vivian blocked her path. "No, it's not," Vivian said. "Nothing here was ever yours." The real Sarah Mitchell's parents confirmed that last week. Riley's composure shattered. "You talked to them?" "They're very interested in meeting the woman who stole their dead daughter's identity." Jenna was climbing the stairs now, phone steady in her hand. "They're waiting at the police station." Oliver's grip suddenly released. He stumbled back, laughing, a hollow, broken sound. "You don't understand. None of you understand. Father was going to destroy everything, sell the company, donate the fortune to charity. We had to stop him." "By pushing him down the stairs?" I clutched the bracelet tightly. "By slowly poisoning your mother?" "By protecting our legacy." Riley's voice cracked. "We're Winslow's. This fortune belongs to us." "No," Vivian stepped forward, her strength returning with each word. "It belongs to someone who understands what legacy really means. That's why I changed my will last month." The front door burst open downstairs. Police officers flooded in, their footsteps thundering up the stairs. "You didn't," Riley whispered. "I did." Vivian turned to me. "Harper, that bracelet you're holding, it's more than just jewelry. The hollow band contains a micro SD card with copies of everything: bank records, medical reports, security footage from the night their father died. I've been collecting evidence for months, ever since I first suspected what they'd done." Oliver lunged at me one final time, but Jenna was faster. She caught his arm, twisting it behind his back as officers reached the landing. "Oliver and Riley Winslow," Jenna's voice was professionally calm. "You're under arrest for the murder of James Winslow, attempted murder of Vivian Winslow, identity theft, and financial fraud." "Did I miss anything, Harper?" I watched as handcuffs clicked around Oliver's wrists, my husband, the man I'd loved, now a stranger wearing a familiar face. "Just one thing. The bracelet." "What about it?" Riley spat as officers secured her. I held it up, letting it catch the light. "Your father gave this to your mother on their wedding day. It was supposed to represent trust, family, legacy. Instead, you used it to orchestrate his murder." "Poetic justice," Vivian said softly, taking the bracelet from my hands. "That it helped bring down the people who betrayed everything it stood for." As the police led Oliver and Riley away, I noticed something odd about Oliver's expression. Not anger or defeat, but satisfaction? "Check his phone," I called to the officers. "And Riley's. There's something we're missing." Jenna was already moving, her investigator's instincts kicking in. She grabbed Oliver's phone from his pocket before the officers could stop her. His last text message was still open. Everything in place. When the house burns, no evidence survives. The smell of smoke reached us just as the fire alarms began to scream. They had a backup plan, I realized. They always had a backup plan. Vivian gripped my arm. The safe. Everything's still in there. I looked at the spreading smoke, then at Jenna's still streaming phone. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about saving what they tried to burn. I'm going back, I said, and ran toward the library before anyone could stop me. 6 months after the fire, I stood in my kindergarten classroom, hanging student artwork on freshly painted walls. The morning news played quietly on my phone, Oliver and Riley Winslow sentenced in family fraud case. I didn't need to watch. I'd been there when the verdict came down. The evidence we'd saved from the burning house had sealed their fate, though not in the way anyone expected. The safe had contained more than just documents, it held a video confession from Oliver's father, recorded the night before his death. He'd known what his children were planning. The stairs weren't an accident, they were his choice. Still here after hours? Vivian appeared in my doorway, looking healthier than she had in years. The contractors finished the house renovations. It feels empty without you there. I pinned up Sophie's finger-painted family portrait. I like my apartment. It's simpler. Simple isn't always better. She moved beside me, studying the children's artwork. Have you read the letter yet? The envelope she'd given me last week sat unopened in my desk drawer. Not ready. Harper. Her voice carried the same stern tone she'd once used to criticize my shoes. You can't avoid it forever. I pulled out the envelope. The paper was expensive, heavy, classic Vivian. Inside, I found adoption papers. I don't understand. I lost my children long before that fire, Vivian said quietly. But I gained a daughter through it. The Winslow legacy doesn't need to die with Oliver's betrayal. I'm not a Winslow. No. She smiled. You're better. You're the one who saved us from ourselves. My phone buzzed, Jenna, sending her daily check-in. She'd finally admitted to being the anonymous texter, though not without justification. I knew you'd need evidence, she'd explained. But you had to find it yourself to believe it. The company board meets next week, Vivian continued. They'll need a new director of community outreach. Someone who understands both education and family values. I thought about Oliver, about how his fear of losing the family fortune had cost him his actual family. About Riley, whose desperate grab for status had earned her a different kind of identity change. About revenge, and how it tasted nothing like I'd expected. I have one condition, I said. Name it. The company's first project under new management, I want to fund teacher training programs. Real ones, not just corporate tax write-offs. Vivian's laugh echoed through the classroom. You never stop teaching, do you? Someone once told me the best revenge is living well. I picked up a crayon drawing from my desk, little Tommy's picture of his teacher helping him tie his shoes. But I think the best revenge is helping others live better. Speaking of help. Vivian hesitated. Oliver asked to see you. One last time before they transfer him. The old pain flickered, but it felt distant now, like watching storm clouds through a window. What did you tell him? That it was your choice. Just like everything else from now on. I looked around my classroom at the tiny chairs and bright posters. At the safe space I'd created where children learned about trust and consequences. Then I thought about the man who'd taught me the same lessons, albeit differently. Tell him I'm busy, I said. I have a future to build. Vivian nodded, understanding what I didn't say. Sometimes closure isn't about final conversations or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it's about choosing which stories to continue and which to leave behind. As we left the classroom, I caught my reflection in the window, still the same kindergarten teacher, but standing straighter now. The silver bracelet glinted on my wrist, no longer a symbol of betrayal but of survival. "Ready?" Vivian asked. I locked the classroom door, thinking about tomorrow's lesson plan on forgiveness and fresh starts. I am now. The adoption papers felt warm in my pocket, like a promise. Not of revenge fulfilled, but of something better, a family rebuilt from truth rather than lies, strength rather than fear. And maybe that was the biggest plot twist of all, that sometimes the best endings aren't about getting even, but about getting free.